You know him, you love him, and now we have him at VSiN, the Vegas Stats and Information Network. It helps to be connected, and nobody knows more of the bookies in Las Vegas than Brent Musburger. It's My Guys in the Desert with the legend of the guys behind the counter, broadcasting only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network at vsin.com and SiriusXM Channel 204. Live from the VSiN studios, it's the one and only Brent Musburger.
So, Brian Rogers back there, my producer, I get added pay for doing a BetQL update. Is that and when the hell is Flatter getting back from France? How long is this going to go on?
All I can say is I think you did a much better job than he does. So he may have lost his job after all, and you might want to do this moving forward.
Bonjour. Vinny and Josh Towers are right here. Bonjour. Adios. So that's a different country. Okay. Hey, Josh Towers, my baseball man. Vinny Magliulo, one of my guys, has been with us all along since VSiN debuted. How are you guys? Baseball, Josh, Houston just smoked the Tribe.
Man, they did. I mean, Indians had plenty of opportunities to win games in this series. They definitely had the opportunity today, going up 1-0 and 2-0. By the way, if we could start a team with anybody, my guy's Lindor. I'm in love with this kid. I think the attitude, the excitement, it's either him or Bregman, because what they bring to these teams are special. But, I mean, the difference in this game, how about this, of all things, was errors by the pitcher and a first baseman, Encarnacion, who couldn't pick a ball. Changed the entire landscape of the game. And then all of a sudden, about the fifth inning, you see Houston just finally relax.
What were the errors by the pitcher like?
Pickoffs to first. Two of them were pickoffs to first, where one of them, his foot didn't get down in time and his arm spiked it, but it was still a very easy pickable ball. The other one, he left right. Two different guys, by the way, Clevenger and Bauer. And then a comebacker to turn a double play. He brings Lindor off second base, no out there, the hustling runner down the line. He's safe at first. Everybody's safe.
Whoa.
Changed everything about this game.
Think about that, how defense turns around a big game.
Yeah. A little surprised. One surprise, one maybe not so much. Let's talk about the surprise. We had figured that the Indians had the edge in the bullpen, I thought. I mean, both teams with good starting pitching, but certainly the Astros bullpen was absolutely outstanding, Josh. And the other thing we talked about, guys, during the summer was there was one concern that at least I definitely had, and I know we talked about it a few times, was the Indians were never under pressure all year. They were in the easiest division. They were never pressed when you think about it. Whereas Red Sox, they still had to beat the Yankees heads up. True. Every other division, including the Astros, they had all of a sudden the A's came out of nowhere to chase them and challenge them. Every other team had to fight, was a dogfight to get there. That may have played a little bit into it, I think, from the Indians' perspective.
I agree. I mean, we see it in all sports. Teams that are fighting to get in or playing valuable games at the end. They're I always say it, if a starting pitcher hasn't pitched in the 8th or 9th inning, then how does he know what the first inning of a postseason game feels like?
Sure.
Like, you got to be able to duplicate this at some point, and they didn't. And Brent and I were talking about this off air. So you pick up Donaldson, who's been hurt all year. He hasn't played, and when he did play, he wasn't very good. Now, all of a sudden, he becomes healthy, and now he's the catalyst to your offense. He's hitting 4 or 5 hole. Like, that made no sense to me when you have a very powerful lineup. And then the other thing I was telling Brent, your bullpen was good, and it got better. You went and got Simber. You went and got Hand. You went and got some of these guys, and now all of a sudden, Bauer, your best starter probably, maybe your best starter, is in the bullpen, and he pitches every single game of the series when he hadn't done that all year. I couldn't tell you the last time Bauer came out of the pen like this. It's not the same type of throwing ever. It's not even close. It's not the same preparation. It's not the same heart rate. I can't control everything I do, and now he's the go-to guy. So I didn't understand bringing in a guy and switching your lineup around for a guy who hadn't been around, and he hasn't been healthy, and then you're not using the same guys. And I understand some of your bullpens were struggling, and you want Miller to be the guy, but he just wasn't. But the Bauer thing I did not get.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Can I say this real quick?
Sure.
Clevenger, Bauer. So Bauer early in the year calls out Houston's pitcher, said the spin rate's good because they're cheating, they're using pine tar. Oh, well, we all use something, so he can't really say that. So Clevenger faces Houston, and he says after the game, I didn't see anything special about this lineup. So what happens the next time he faces Houston? They light him up.
Brilliant.
This is what I love about the Houston team, is during the interview process, every single player who gave an interview after that game used the word special in the interview. We played, our defense was special today. Our manager was very special. Our catcher called a special game. Whatever they said, they used the word special. They find ways to motivate themselves even though they're the world champs. Awesome.
And Josh and Vinny, Jimmy Vaccaro with us here, a leadoff segment. And I got to believe, Jimmy, that every bookmaker in town is smiling after what I watched and listened to going on in the National Football League. I mean, it was one dog after another wagging its tail and barking loudly yesterday.
It was good, and I'm glad to be here with you special people. It was a jam-up weekend, kid. What can I tell you?
Good.
You look at these things in a lot of different ways when you're behind the counter, and there was no better scene for probably any bookmaker in the world when you have what you consider, once again, a sellout crowd, once again, some intriguing matchups, once again, unbelievable endings that you saw, and you won some money. And now throw in the fight, which obviously there were 2 fights, right? One before the fight,
Right.
one after the fight.
The second one we couldn't book.
I was about to say, did you book that second one?
Wow. that it drew a lot of late attention. I remember a few weeks ago I was talking about how it was, in a sense, doing no business. But what we did was lowering the straddle on it, so we had the best price on both sides. So it picked up quite a bit from about 6 till 9:30. Happy with the result. We did need the favorite to win the game, and then there were some good late college games. So there's nothing to beef about, kid, from this end of the counter.
You guys
Believe me.
needed Connor, huh? I'm very surprised.
No, we needed.
No.
I mean, you needed Khabib. I'm very
Khabib.
surprised that much money came in on Connor.
It always comes in a con.
I mean, I know who he is.
automatic.
Obviously, it is crazy. I never saw him win that fight.
The
I know.
Mayweather fight.
Yeah, right.
Okay, they needed,
it's-
unbelievable. They wanted money
needed
on
Floyd.
Mayweather.
Don't try to figure it out.
I understand it's 6-1 or 7-1 or something.
Now,
It's here come the Irish.
for the first time in a long time, naturally, you don't be stubborn in this racket. You listen to other people all the time. Doesn't mean you use everything that they say.
Correct.
But what I would consider my close friends, probably 5 of them, who understand this racket as good as anybody I've ever been around, they all said this guy should be a 3-1 favorite going in.
Mm-hmm. Think about
But
it.
there's 2 different ways of looking at those type of operations. Simply, you know who they're going to bet,
Right.
no matter what number you put up. So you cheat the number to some degree, making it lower, which gives you a better opportunity to maneuver lately because you know that you're going to get this big money. But it all worked out well. We were in a good spot. We picked up a nice bit of money. And because we had two-way action, we had an earn to it. So this helped. And throw some football games. We started right before that, so it was a good weekend.
Let me throw this out, especially to you and Vinny. I was thinking about this coming in from Oakland this morning. Because when I would come in, you guys would always laugh and say, everybody's got a 2-teamer, usually the Patriots, but whoever's playing the Browns, okay? Okay. So stick with me. The Browns now, that's a pretty decent football team that they've got, okay? Yeah. Mm-hmm. We had one winless team, and suddenly Arizona breaks through and showed us decent defense, new quarterback, Josh Rosen. So I'm thinking, overall, that's good business for the books because you don't have an automatic go against in the NFL. Now, am I off base if I say that, guys, or not?
Not at all. Parity, the league loves parity, but we love parity too, Brent, because what it does is it gives the folks, listen, the folks are going to be committed to betting certain teams no matter what every weekend. They're going to bet the Patriots, they're going to bet the Rams, and they're going to bet the Kansas City Chiefs every weekend. But the fact of the matter is they don't always cover. So you've got, more seasoned bettors looking to perhaps take advantage and go the other way. But when parity is available for the league, it's good for the league, but it's also good on our side of the counter.
To me, unpredictability is the answer. The better off it is, and naturally, you can see, and I notice only because I have not much else to do at times, the things that I pick up, and I've been looking over probably the last 2 or 3 years, there's never not one game that you don't have some two-way action considered on the game. Mm-hmm. There used to be at a time, there'd be like you'd get one shot at you, and that you had to win that side. Now with everything else going on, you still have a side what you're heavy on, but you never are bare on the other side. And from a bookmaker standpoint, that means there's a lot of money going in it, and we're still holding our 11 to 10. So it's called an earn there. So I have seen this, and it just keeps escalating every year, which makes our job quite easier. And people are just simply betting more and more than I've ever seen.
Or you give us so many options too. I mean, it's great for the books because you make it pretty favorable to both sides. I mean, this game tonight, I can make a case for both sides in this game. So there's the money on both sides, but then you give us so many options to bet in. It makes it exciting. And the reality is if we're not having fun, then what are we really doing this for? Because if I'm spending my last dollar on this, I'm in trouble anyways.
Well, you shouldn't be. No,
Right.
no. Do it to enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
You want to make a few bucks, no question about it. But it's fun for us too, isn't it, Jimmy? Let's face it. We do this because it is certainly a labor of love, which you know, Mr. He's smiling.
I'm smiling because it used to be that you could put your last dollar against the Cleveland Browns and you were going to be okay. All right, you were going to eat that night, but no longer. Josh mentioned tonight, guys. So, Jimmy, business brisk on Washington, New Orleans?
Mm-hmm. And dog side from the professionals. They took the 7 and 6.5. We're at 6. But here's a case that I was just talking about a few minutes ago. Even though on the straight bets we are higher on the underdog there, but the parlay business makes it almost equal to the other side already. So if we just chop it up, and here's what I mean by an earn, Josh. Simply, let's just say you have a game that it's staring at you on the screen, you lose $30,000 if that team wins. But if the side that you want to win wins, well, we might win $38,000 because beside the built-in 4.5% to it, there's always an earn because people are always throwing money in. So anytime, which breaks it down, if we absolutely go 50-50 for the year on outcomes of the games, we'll do real good because we're always making more with the earn as opposed to the side you really need.
Yep. Definitely understand that.
I'm looking at yesterday's card, Jimmy and Vinny, and I'm seeing right off the top 3 home underdogs, the Browns, the Bills, and the Lions, and 3 teams that would not normally attract a lot of betting attention because, let's face it, they have been bad football teams for the most part of the last decade. But there are the Browns, 12-9 in overtime against Baltimore. There are the Bills, 13-12 over the Titans. You know, nobody can get the Titans right, okay? We misfired against them early, and now when you come on them up in Buffalo, they lose outright. And the Lions, 31-23. Has the Green Bay kicker been fired yet, Josh?
He's close. He made one at the end of the game, so may hold on to his job. But they came into that game in trouble, anyways. They lost the young kid in the backfield, so their secondary was depleted. There's a lot of bickering in that clubhouse. There's pointing fingers. Why they're not using Aaron Jones on a regular basis is no idea.
Yeah, you've been saying that.
And then they could have put Ty Montgomery with the receivers out. They could have used Ty, put him out even in the slot, anything they wanted, because he is a wide receiver that they converted. But, I mean, when you start seeing the injuries pile up for them, and then when you heard the bickering and the pointing of the fingers and Rodgers mad at people, you knew that they were in a bad spot coming into that game. Money changed quickly at the end, didn't it?
Yes, it did. In fact, we had talked about it last week. The Lions went off as a 1.5-point favorite.
Yes.
So they flipped.
They did flip as the Lions went off as the favorite against the Packers. That tells you not only that Aaron Rodgers is not 100%, but there's a little bit of a different betting sentiment towards the Packers this year, Jimmy.
What do you think our best decision early was, Brent? I don't think you'll get it, but I'm just trying to lead you on.
The best decision. See, I would have guessed the Bills. That would be my guess. I'm looking at a 3.5 Titans.
Yeah.
Couldn't get them to stop betting on the Denver Broncos over the Jets.
Come on.
Oh,
that's right.
We moved that one 2.5.
That's another one that flipped favorites.
That's a silent assassin, kid. Believe me.
Whoa.
Yep.
Big. That was
so the Jets
decision.
were a home underdog when it went off, and they scored 34-16.
Yes, sir.
You know, I was just thinking about. Funny you mentioned the Jets, and I would not have guessed the Denver Broncos. Sam Darnold threw the ball beautifully. Now, granted, I wasn't watching the game. I saw a couple of highlights. I had the red zone on up in the Raiders booth. He threw a beautiful couple of passes in that game. You know, it was
big game for us. Big game.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, did the Golden Knights finally lose today?
Yes.
They were down
4-2
to Buffalo.
4-2.
4-2 was the final in that, so I
sir.
want to pass that along. Let's take our first break and come back with my guys in the desert. vsin.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
Want to get an edge over Vegas in the books? BetQL is available for download. Only mobile app puts all that important research you need to make smart bets in one place. with BetQL. You can easily access the line movements that Jimmy and Vinny have been talking about to see how the lines on teams like the Denver Broncos and the New York Jets have moved. This app gives you access to public betting trends real time. See which side the public favors. BetQL's powerful algorithm gives users value bets of the day based off of detailed recent and historical trends. Calculate your return on your picks. Track those picks throughout the day. Best part? Download BetQL for free from your Apple or Android device. Now, BetQL.co. BetQL brought to you by the creators of RotoQL. That's a leading daily fantasy lineup optimizer trusted by 100,000 daily fantasy players. You can also download RotoQL for free from both Apple and Android.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
John Murray, the guys have really helped me out so far this year with VSiN 1. What are you giving me this week?
We're going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers -3. We're going to try to take advantage of all those injuries on Atlanta's defense. You know, Pittsburgh really is a must-win game for the Steelers in a lot of ways. They need to win this game. They can't afford to fall too far behind 3-1 Baltimore and 3-1 Cincinnati in the AFC North.
All right, so VSiN Win has its first pick. We're taking the Steelers. We're going to give the 3. John's right on the money. The Falcons are really beaten up, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
So if we go back to the playoffs of last year, 6 games, last 6 games for the Minnesota Vikings, they're giving up 320 passing yards per game. That would have been, if applied to last year's full season, that would make them dead last. They're giving up 2.3 passing touchdowns per game. Applied to last year, full season, dead last. Points per game over the last 6 for the Vikings, dead last. That's your new look Viking defense right there.
Here's the deal with teasers. So when I did the Beating the Book podcast for so many years, and Chrissy Andrews would come on during guessing lines and story time, through the years he would start to hint. We were doing so well on teasers, he'd be like, yeah, we might have to change the prices. Yeah, we might have to change it. And finally they did. So, again, getting back to the fact that there's anywhere between 2 through 8 different legs allowed here at the South Point, 2 through 10 elsewhere, and the fact that you can tease either at 6 points, 6.5 points, or 7 points. So there's 3 different point amounts that you can tease by, and there's anywhere between 2 through 8 different legs. So if you put that together, you have 21, Josh, 21 permutations of teasers.
And now we're seeing a lot of places in Las Vegas here on the Strip. Niners -4 against the Cardinals. Total 40.5. There's always that long tracking theory that after a star player goes down in Jimmy G, you kind of get everything together and you play really well in the next game. The following game, though, is usually a dud. I wouldn't be stunned to see the Cardinals win this game outright. Josh Rosen's first start on the road.
You know what that angle is called officially?
The Patrick Ewing theory.
The fallen star. The fallen star.
Fallen star theory.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204, and VSiN.com.
All right, Week 6 of the National Football League coming up. Obviously, we've got Week 5 ending tonight, but let me jump to Week 6 because there's always early betting in Las Vegas, and it brings a story always. Jimmy, what games got played here early?
Well, we're getting more and more big play earlier than I've ever seen, and I can't really tell you why, but I can't tell you because I see the money coming across. We had one gentleman who I consider knows what the hell he's doing. He bet 4 games in the NFL for, here we are, Week 6, if you can believe that. 4 games, 2 for $15,000, 2 to win $20,000. Mm-hmm. He bet on your Oakland Raiders, who travel to London. Mm-hmm. They bet on a team we were just talking about, the Denver Broncos, which drew a big bet. The Dallas Cowboys, understand that over Jacksonville with the 3 at home, and the Tennessee Titans. So it's getting more widespread, and when you get that type of money early, it just seems to like keep pushing for the amount of money you're going to see during the course of the weekend because people move these numbers, which always gives you a chance for two-way action on it.
He bet 4 dogs, okay? Yeah. Now, Oakland, and folks, keep this in mind. When you look at Oakland, it's going to look like they're the home team. This is technically a home game for the Raiders, but it will be played at Wembley in London, England, hosting Seattle. And I had it at 3. Jimmy, did you leave it at 3 after the bet? Okay.
Yes.
How about the Broncos getting 7 with the Rams? Did you leave that one at 7?
The only one I think we changed because I was running out when this stuff was given to me. I believe we went to 6.5 with it. Everything else we stayed the same. It's just, Brent, it's the same thing. You don't try to budge off the 3s. You wait as long as possible to make the second move. It's
interesting because I was just talking about home underdogs, and here comes a player. Like I said, let's exclude Oakland, but let's go to Denver, Dallas, and Tennessee, Vinny, and Josh, all 3 home underdogs next Sunday.
Well, folks can tend to be very trendy too, right, Brent?
Sure.
I mean, when you
Absolutely.
think about it, and to Jimmy's point, very cognizant of it, depending on the number. The good part is the beauty is in the early part of the week. The other thing is this, Brent, what we're seeing, and I love Jimmy's point. It's an important one about bigger bets coming in early. And again, these are posted today. What a lot of folks may be interested in knowing, and we try to educate people as well, right? So when we put up numbers and they're the openers for the week, you've got seasoned bettors and professionals. They make their numbers so they're making their professional numbers right yesterday during the course of the day, and they tweak them at the end of the day. They compare their numbers to what is posted on the board, and that helps them decide what they want to do early in the week. And then if not, they'll monitor everything during the course of the week, right, Jimmy?
Well, the other thing, sorry, Jim, is the NFL is the best at week to week. You see a different team in essence. They're the best at making adjustments. These are professional football players and professional coaches. All 4 of these teams coming off a loss, all 4 of these teams heading home, all 4 of these teams getting points. So it's not so much the line, and I'm sure that probably helped this gentleman, but he has something that he sees that he sticks to no matter what. And immediately he sees this, so he jumps on it.
Yeah. Well, case in point, you made a good point there, but also against Denver yesterday was a monster play for us, and we won that bet. So you just can't jump out and bet against Denver the next week because, as you said, they're pros and they understand what the hell's going on. And a pro team getting 7 points is a big, big deal also. So even though they got their ass kicked yesterday, you can understand why the +7 came in.
Yeah, for sure. You got a couple guys with concussion protocol as well on the Rams. But no, that's exactly what it is who has more to play for the next week in essence, a team that lost or a team that won. And I know that probably sounds crazy, but the losing team has more adjustments they're going to make.
It doesn't sound crazy at all because you only got 16 games.
Yeah.
So every game is damn important.
Let me expand on Jimmy's point, too, because, again, this is important as well. What professionals will do, it's not even they're betting on teams. What they're betting on are numbers here, and these are key numbers. In this case, there's one is a 7, a full touchdown, and the other 2 are 3s, which are so these are key numbers, too, that they're locking in on.
And the biggest number, the Minnesota Vikings go back home after their win in Philadelphia. They here, Jimmy, are a 10.5-point favorite at the South Point over the Arizona Cardinals, who not only have their first win at San Francisco, but they've got a new quarterback and former UCLA Bruin Josh Rosen. So 10.5, you got a 10.5. You seriously have to think about the Cardinals. They've played pretty decent defense. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you're right. And the other thing, and look at it as we talked about at the top of the show, Brent. Yes, we have a 10.5-point favorite, and down below you have Houston 9. And after that, there's a 7 with the Rams. Everything is like 1.5, 2, and 3. 1.5, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
That's how close these teams are getting. I've always said this. There's always going to be 10% who overachieve for the year, 10% that underachieve, and the 80% in the middle are a field goal. That's all that it is.
You're absolutely right. That is what the league is. For example, the gentleman's obviously a professional because nobody who watched the Raiders play yesterday, for example, would want to make a substantial bet on them today. Now, maybe later in the week he'd forget about what he saw because they played their poorest game of the year against the Chargers down at Carson, California, and they have a lot of things to repair and a short time to do it because they've got a 10-hour plane ride coming up on Thursday over London. But he says, okay, I've got 3 points. John Gruden and Derek Carr are professionals. Marshawn Lynch will settle his anger with Coach in the next couple of days before they board that plane. Seattle has to be a little bit disappointed. Played a great game overall against the Rams, but still couldn't close it out. Had a couple of penalties that hurt them late with an offensive holding call. So I see why he jumps on the on the 3 on this neutral site game. I see it. Whereas if somebody were to say to me today, I'd say, stay away, because I'm emotional about it. And I watched all their mistakes. They first and goal again. Well, the other one was first and 10 at the 13. But another interception on first down in the end zone, you just can't have that. You've got to throw that ball in the second row of the grandstand. And as Matt Humans so eloquently said, that was probably the best pass that Derek Carr threw all day. He hit Ingram right between the numbers. Okay, so Matty was all about the Raiders yesterday.
Who do you think Matt had in that game?
I know who he had because I talked to him from the booth before the game on VSiN, and he was very distraught about it. Yeah. But as you guys have said, and Josh knows better than anybody, these are professional athletes. I mean, these are not collegiate kids. We don't have permanent damage to psyches here or whatever. We got jobs at stake. And these guys will go back to work, and they'll change some things. And
sure,
that's why we have these upsets every week.
Come full circle to the top of our discussion here about parity, about you want to call it balance, you want to call it unpredictability. Jimmy brought up that's a great point. That's what keeps it going from week to week from both sides of the counter.
Was that play? I'm sure the media had asked a lot of questions because we saw on TV Marshawn take his helmet off and he yells into the helmet.
Right.
Now, I don't know if he has.
He does not. But.
Okay, but he yelled into the helmet, so it looked like he was visibly upset. I mean, Carr's leading the league in interceptions. Lynch has been through this a few times, it seems like now, where they don't hand him the ball. And he can't run the ball 4 times in a row. I understand all that. But he looked visibly upset.
He was upset.
Give me the ball, please. I mean, at some point, let me try this. Now, the one problem I have with the play is Carr didn't go through his progressions or anything. It was just like, okay, when I drop, when I turn, he's supposed to be there. So that's all he did.
He did glance. Well, the play was designed to go to a tight end.
To the left?
Smith to the left.
Okay.
And he got bogged down. He could not get free, and he's not a really experienced wide receiver. He's one of the veteran tight ends and basically a very good blocker. So he could not get out, and quickly Carr turned back to the middle and threw hard, not realizing that Ingram read play action and said they're throwing. And he backed out, into the middle of the field. You have to give yourself a little time as a quarterback there. Right. For the difference between the two quarterbacks was stark. Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer.
Yes, agreed.
And he was getting rid of the ball. I saw the stat. I know what they were measuring. 2.5 seconds, okay? He was lethal, which means that Phillip Rivers recognized defenses immediately, saw blitzes when the Raiders were coming, and he knew exactly how to counter it. So that was the difference in the decision-making process, and also the first time I've watched Phillip Rivers in a long time personally. He's running that offense. Now, Wisnit's an experienced coach, but he wanted to change in personnel at one time. He actually came over to the coach on the sideline, and you saw Gates, the veteran tight end, come out, and one of the young ones come off. So there's still a learning process going on between Carr and John Gruden. They're not both on the same page. As far as the play call itself was concerned, you can argue that they should have been looking completely for the run, and so the play action was a good play. I go to the Dick Vermeil school to put the ball in the hands of your best player.
Gotcha.
That's Marshawn Lynch.
Do you think the offensive line's been playing well for the Oakland Raiders?
They were horrible yesterday because of injuries. Okay.
Because I thought the games that I've watched, I thought they've done a pretty decent job. And so I'm wondering.
It was a bad thing yesterday because remember, Josh, we had a first game rookie starter at right tackle stepping in, and Osemele was out at left guard.
He's good too.
So
Raven.
The backup moved in there. And what they did was Ingram caused false starts on both tackles yesterday. That's how good he is. Now, just think about the Chargers' defense, and don't ask me why they get off slow starts. I don't know. But you put Joey Bosa back in that lineup, I'm going to tell you.
Unbelievable.
Kansas City better get ready.
Unbelievable.
Because this will be – they're going to bring some heat in the rematch. They went into Carson and won the opening game. And but listen, I thought Jacksonville was going to be fine. But Jacksonville's got of all the quarterbacks in the league, I hate to bash quarterbacks. I know how tough this thing is. But Jacksonville's got to make a move. You can't do what he did yesterday. You can't throw a pass off the top of a lineman's helmet, and you can't pick six it, and you can't throw another interception going in. You can't have a strip sack. 4 or 5 turnovers in a game, and Kansas City is playing. You have to make a change.
Somebody said that on television. He said, I, as a fan of football, I don't want to see the change at quarterback come too late to where the defense is gone and they have to go elsewhere because they can't afford him because it's such a special defense. And then Blake's doing that. The Derek Carr thing I asked, I thought the offensive line to date has done a pretty good job, and I feel like he doesn't realize how much time he actually has. So he rushes into plays not knowing that they're actually giving him ample time to be good. It's just the whole timing things.
Sometimes you're right, okay? He does a little panic and go too early when he's got more time. I was asked a question. He scrambled once for about 12, 13 yards. I don't remember how far. And somebody said to me, did he slide too soon? And I said, well, there was a little daylight there. I didn't want to see it because I hadn't gone back and looked at the tape. But, ever since the injury, the broken leg and then the back injury.
That's what I wonder.
There has been that feeling that he's a little nervous. But I tend to think it's more of he and John are not really together. I mean, Gruden has changed the system, changed the play calling, changed the terminology. Derek's such a nice young man, and he's trying so hard to buy into everything that Coach wants to do.
Is third system in 4 years, Brent, or something?
Third in 4 years.
Yeah.
That's a
I'll
lot.
play the other side. You're being too kind. They're not in the same county.
I can't disagree with him today. But then again, there is that better. He's coming in. Let's go to Mario London, and let's go to Mario Commercial. VSIN.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at VSIN.com.
Catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
If it's me, he knows I'm going to get him 3 or 4 times. He knows my tendencies a lot more. So he, as much as I'm trying to set him up, he can set me up. But bullpen days, he doesn't. It's now this guy's coming in with his best stuff because he's getting you guys 1 time because they don't want relievers to see hitters twice. And so that's why from our side now, the sports gambling, I like unders a lot on bullpen days because it's hard for these guys to face 4 different pitchers in one game.
Because I'm able to make my adjustments off you between at bat number 1 or from bat number 1 to at bat number 2 and 3 before either they come and pull you or whatever happens down the line.
To answer your question is Rutgers, Indiana was our biggest decision of the week last week, and that was an under-the-radar game. We had a guy lay 16.5 and 17, so he had $200,000 on the favorite, Indiana. So that ended up being our biggest win on Saturday, and no one would ever guess that in a million years.
Was that the regular customer?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Is that the only thing he bet?
That's it.
$200,000. Was there
and a $90,000 parlay. So that was a really good game for us. Indiana Rutgers, a meaningless game in New Jersey on a Saturday morning, got us off to a start we wouldn't relinquish.
Outsiders defense adjusted value over average, calculating a team's success based on down and distance of each play during the season, and calculating how much or less successful each team is compared to the league average. We'll refer to it throughout this segment. The Rams, speaking of great offenses, according to your numbers, and I believe you've tracked this all the way back to 1986, Aaron, at this point, they are historically...
At this point, we go back to 1986.
Wow.
Yes, the Rams are one of the 10 best offenses through the first 4 weeks of the season, going back to 1986. And the Kansas City Chiefs are one of the 20 best offenses.
If you don't let your starting pitching, which the Brewers have not at all, if you don't let them pitch in the 8th and 9th inning, that's the closest you can come to simulating a postseason game, because the 8th inning is where the game really is on the line for the starters. And once I got to the 9th inning, I got past the hurdle, and the fact that I'm in the 9th inning means I'm in a comfortable spot to finish this game. So unless you let those guys pitch in those situations, you've never allowed them to simulate what it's like to pitch in the postseason. So all these kids that only go 5 and dive or 6 and dive, they're going to be nervous the whole time, and we're going to see it like we did last night.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Sirius XM Channel 204, and VSiN.com.
All right, the crowd's starting to gather here at the South Point and all the sports books around the city, getting ready for Monday Night Football. Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees stands to break Peyton Manning's all-time passing record. Needs only 201 yards. That one still stands. Saints are favored by 6 total, over under 51.5. And if you want to take the Saints on the money line and not worry about the 6, minus 260 to win 100. Vinny and Josh, I'm going to jump to a couple of college football games that intrigue me. The Fighting Irish coming off that win against Virginia Tech, number 154. They go home to host Pittsburgh. What do we have, Vinny, on Pittsburgh and Notre Dame?
Boy, Notre Dame just climbing, Brent, not only in the rankings, but also in our power, in the polls, but in our power rankings as well. 3 touchdowns here, the Fighting Irish against Pittsburgh. Never an easy out for the Irish, right? I mean, they certainly get everybody's best effort, but 3 touchdowns now this coming weekend.
Let's jump down to Tuscaloosa. Number 1, the Crimson Tide, hosting this is 189, okay, 189, Missouri and Alabama, Tuscaloosa.
Brent, add another touchdown to the Crimson Tide, 28. By the way, that number fell right on 34 last week. Was bet to 35 last week.
I was going to say it got up because that got a lot of people.
And I know Brent liked that. You
Tide.
loved the 34.
2 weeks in a row.
You laid 34.
I got
you
the
got
push.
the push, and it went to 35.
You got the good number because I know a lot of people that listen. You want to bet Bama? Take them first half and
You got to.
and get off that.
You got to bet them early.
They can
because
score.
everybody's coming, and that number is going to move up. Okay.
They can score 1,000, but at some point,
I was very lucky. I got the
the
push on Bama. Another Big Ten game at 201-202. Michigan State, Penn State, Happy Valley. A lot of folks in the Big Ten have their eye on this. Michigan State's coming off a loss at the hands of Northwestern.
I know it, Brent. What a big upset there. Penn State looking to rebound here, and 13.5. Don't be shocked if this number goes up.
seems like a big number. You know, you got a little bit. I don't think they underestimated Northwestern, but they do play some pretty good defense. But Penn State's, I guess they're pretty motivated as well. It should be a good game.
Got to get back into it, right?
Okay. You touted my winner, but my loser was LSU at Florida. They could not hang on. And now I'm going to tell you, this may be my 5-star this week. LSU goes back to Baton Rouge to host undefeated Georgia.
And the Bulldogs, Brent, 7-point favorites here. I think I see a gleam in your eye. You're looking at the home puppy. You see,
there's
we know our clientele. This is what we call booking the faces.
Look at this.
I have to tell you, I just happened to look at this, and there's one huge negative in this. Okay, and here's your negative. This is the CBS Game of the Week in the SEC. So it's on at 3:30 Eastern 2:30 Baton Rouge. That's not enough time for my Cajuns to get ready for this one, okay? I need the whole day in the parking lot.
You those
okay?
Those the 3 hours?
I want. Come on, guys. Let's get the gang all in here, okay? But still in all, Georgia they will be in a dog fight, so to speak, with the Bulldog. I'm telling you, this is going to be a heck of a football game.
Yeah. Georgia won by 3 last year, but the road teams won the previous 3 games.
Yeah.
This is always tough. This is a good game.
This is a good game.
Yeah, I wish it was a little bit later as well, Brent. No doubt. No.
So there we have it. Some early games in college football. Now, Vinny, let's take another look at tonight's game because we've got a fresh audience joining us. It's the last game of Week 5 of the National Football League. It's the Washington Redskins and the New Orleans Saints. This could be Drew Brees' night.
You know, Brent, you talked about Drew Brees and the amount of yards he needs to become the all-time leading passer. He's averaging about 311 yards per game, so certainly within his scope tonight. Saints opened as 7-point favorites, went to 6.5 midweek, and then as we approached the weekend, down to 6, which is now where it sits. Saints 6-point favorites. Total on the game right around 51-52, sitting at 52 right now, so bouncing back and forth.
I'm wondering about the Saints defense. If maybe, 18 points last week week. And I know it was the Giants, but it was still on the road, and they only gave up 18. And nothing crazy, 7-0, 3-8. So none of the quarters got away from them either. So it was a really good game defensively, which they needed. They get Mark Ingram back. And Kamara's, by the way, one of the greatest football players on the planet offensively. But even he needs a break, and he's been carrying that team. So they get Ingram back to go with Kamara. This becomes dangerous. But now you wonder how much of they're going to put on his plate. Michael Thomas has set all kinds of records receiving, but the Skins are coming off a bye. They're coming off 2 weeks to prepare for this, and this is a defense that's pretty good as well. So the lacking Saints defense can make the Skins offense a little bit better. I think we got a good game.
There is one story breaking. ESPN actually was the first to report this, that the New York Giants are attempting today to trade Eric Flowers, the tackle, who went from left tackle to right tackle to the bench. And if they can't trade him today, they're going to release him tomorrow. So it is possible. And remember, this is a former number 1 draft choice who just did not work out. There are a lot of teams in the league who will be looking at tape of Flowers and wondering if they can get any miles out of him, because there's always a shortage, especially about 5 weeks into the season, of good offensive tackles. So that's breaking today on the New York Giants making a move. Where are the Giants this week, Vinny? We talked about
the Giants in week 6 here. Brent.
Are they one of the bye teams? No, of course not. They're the Thursday night.
They're Thursday night against the
home.
Eagles at home, getting a field goal against the Eagles in
another one of our home dogs.
Stadium. Yeah, another home dog field goal.
They played well too at Carolina. They really did.
They had every chance to win.
Yeah,
they were down. They came back, went ahead.
63-yard field goal to win it.
Yeah,
I mean, congrats to him.
Sure.
I do. Listen, my boo of the week. Okay.
Got a couple.
Speaking of the Giants, and it goes to Odell Beckham. All right. Do not become another wide receiver diva. Odell, do yourself a favor, okay? Don't go arrange an interview on your own with. Well, I don't care if you arrange an interview with your own. I don't care less about that. But don't be throwing your organization under the bus. I mean, yeah. You know, you're a football player. You're a member of a team, okay? And he basically put down Eli Manning, basically put down the coaching staff, and now he's stepping up and saying that it was him. He fired the team up, and that's why they played better. Odell, don't do it. It's just an ugly look. And I know you got your $95 million, and God bless you. He's a great talent. You know, he doesn't. Josh, you played on a team. Mm-hmm. You know what it's like. You know, the locker room gets all upset when somebody like this moves out on his own and then pops off about the rest of the ball club. It just doesn't go over with professionals.
Well, no, and that's what I was looking for. I'm not going to mention his name, but somebody was texting me before the game started yesterday. We talk a lot, and he played for a lot of years in the big leagues. Really good baseball player, and that was the first thing he started with was about Odell Beckham and this interview and how disrespectful he felt he was, and he was so unhappy about what Odell did, and he couldn't stop going off about it. And this is a guy that's sitting at home watching football. Right. Can only imagine internally what the Giants are feeling, and no, you can't do that. And then he goes and he feels the pressure to do too much. He gets involved in the punt that messed up. I mean, a lot of bad plays as well. Odell did, obviously overshadowed by the one-handed catches, but no, he did. Yeah, so I'm listening to former players being upset. I can only imagine what that clubhouse is feeling.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a break, and you're going to meet one of our VSiN fans. Okay, she's a regular here at the South Point, and she is really pulling for the Dodgers to close out the Atlanta Braves. Come on back. VSiN.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
John Murray, the guys have really helped me out so far this year with VSiN 1. What are you giving me this week?
We're going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers -3. We're going to try to take advantage of all those injuries on Atlanta's defense. You know, Pittsburgh really, it's a must-win game for the Steelers in a lot of ways. They need to win this game. They can't afford to fall too far behind 3-1 Baltimore and 3-1 Cincinnati in the AFC North.
All right, so VSiN Win has its first pick. We're taking the Steelers. We're going to give the 3. John's right on the money. The Falcons are really beaten up, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
So if we go back to the playoffs of last year, last 6 games for the Minnesota Vikings, they're giving up 320 passing yards per game. That would if it applied to last year's full season, that would make them dead last. They're giving up 2.3 passing touchdowns per game. Applied to last year, full season, dead last. Points per game over the last 6 for the Vikings, dead last. That's your new look Viking defense right there.
Here's the deal with teasers. So when I did the Beating the Book podcast for so many years, and Chrissy Andrews would come on during guessing lines and story time, through the years he would start to hint. We were doing so well on teasers, he'd be like, yeah, we might have to change the prices. Yeah, we might have to change it. And finally they did. So again, getting back to the fact that there's anywhere between 2 through 8 different legs allowed here at the South Point, 2 through 10 elsewhere, and the fact that you can tease either at 6 points, 6.5 points, or 7 points. So there's 3 different point amounts that you can tease by, and there's anywhere between 2 through 8 different legs. So if you put that together, you have 21, Josh, 21 permutations of teasers.
And now we're seeing a lot of places in Las Vegas here on the Strip. Niners -4 against the Cardinals. Total 40.5. There's always that long tracking theory that after a star player goes down, and Jimmy G, you kind of get everything together and you play really well in the next game. The following game, though, is usually a dud. I wouldn't be stunned to see the Cardinals win this game outright. Josh Rosen's first start on the road.
You know what that angle is called officially?
The Patrick Ewing theory.
The fallen star. The fallen star.
Fallen star theory.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204, and vsin.com.
You know, there are some great fans who come around the South Point sports book. Come over to VSiN, say hello, sit outside, watch games, bet games, pull for games. And I saw this nice woman, and she came over and introduced herself and asked for a picture. And she said, you know, I'm just a great fan of VSiN's, and I'm a big Dodger fan. And so I said, Marlene, come on in. Come on the air with Vinny and Josh and me, and we'll talk a little ball together. And no sooner did she walk in wearing her Dodger blue, Marlene Levin, who's right to my left, and I will tell you, the Dodgers erupted for 2 runs. That's celebrating that Marlene had come on the air at VSiN, and the Dodgers now lead the Atlanta Braves 3-2, bottom of the 6th inning, and attempting to close it out. So, Marlene, what good luck you brought the Dodgers, dear. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. This is wonderful for me. Never done anything like this, and I've been a fan of baseball since I've been 10 years old, and meeting all of you has been the last few weeks a highlight of my life.
Wow, that's wonderful. Marlene, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Now, how did you become a Dodger fan? After you moved out west, or how did that go?
No,
you know all the old Indians.
I do. That's right. I moved out to L.A. in 1960, and my love of baseball, went with me. And, of course, I had to become a Dodger fan, and I did. I go back to the days of Colfax and all the old timers with the Dodgers, and went to many, many games.
And you enjoyed the voice of one Vince Scully. I'll bet he helped make you a Dodger fan for life. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. That. When I was younger in Montana, we used to be able, Marlene, to pick up their signal. They were a 1,000-watt station. The Dodgers were at the time. I could listen to them in Montana after they'd moved out from Brooklyn, and there was no voice like it. Jerry Doggett, I believe, was his analyst at the time, and I used to lay in my bed and get ready to go to sleep, and there was the voice of Vince Scully. The Dodgers had moved to L.A., and so I really, the passion of the Dodger fans is great, and here you are. You got a chance to get back to the World Series.
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
That's so cute.
Do you, Josh Towers, he's a former major league pitcher over.
Really?
Yes, Josh, right here on the end, Marlene.
Oh, my God.
And I got to wear that Dodger uniform for a year.
Think about that.
Oh, my gosh.
So you got to make sure you get another one of those good pictures.
That's right.
with a former Dodger.
Oh, my God. That's wonderful.
Marlene, what caused you to fall in love with baseball?
Well, I still remember 1948. I was only 10, and my parents went to the World Series in Cleveland, the only time. And from that time on, and even when I was just 11, 12 years old, in those days it was different. I used to go by myself downtown Cleveland, walk to the stadium, and started following the Indians back then. One year I went to 50 games.
Wow. You could never do that in today's world, by the way. You can't walk no more to those games. No. And then as soon as you moved to L.A., I think the Dodger Stadium was built in, 62? I think it was something like that. So it was right when you got to L.A. as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They played at the Coliseum, right? Originally, Brent, didn't they?
Yes, they opened the Coliseum.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. The moonshot. The left field that he would hit the home runs out of there. Yes. So Marlene, 48. I'll bet you one of your heroes growing up was shortstop manager Lou Boudreau.
Oh yes.
Oh man.
I remember him.
And who were some of the pitchers on that team?
Oh my gosh, Early Wynn.
The Gus. Yes.
Right. Mike Garcia.
Oh yes, the Big Bear Garcia, of course.
Right, and Bob Lemon.
And there was another Bob besides Lemon. And I know you remember him. He was a master of the strikeout.
Really good.
Oh,
Bob Feller.
There you go.
And I met him several times here in Vegas.
Did you? Yeah,
yes.
He used to make appearances out here
did.
quite a bit. Yeah.
Right. So those were the days, and when I remember all the players, including Ray Boone.
Ray Boone,
and then
grandfather of the Boone family.
Yes, I found that out by Googling it.
Yes, exactly.
That was exciting to me.
Wasn't Satchel Paige on that team?
For a time in 48, I think.
Wow, good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well done,
Did you see him pitch, Marlene?
No,
Do you remember that?
No.
Now, was Larry Doby in center field? Because he was the first African-American in the American League, was Larry Doby.
Yeah.
Okay, Jackie Robinson came to the Dodgers, and then Larry Doby became the center fielder for the Indians, so that was a historical landmark in the American League. He gets overshadowed, and understandably so because of Jackie, but Larry was a heck of a player and a great guy. Luke Easter came up and became the first baseman of the Indians. Now, Marlene, I have also seen you here at the South Point wearing Vegas Golden Knight shirts, so you obviously like the Knights, too.
I love them. And living here, of course, how can you help but not support them? And as a matter of fact, before the Dodger game started, I had my Knights hat on, and I do. I have it with me, and I was watching the game.
That's great because they had an earlier game today because, and I had forgotten until somebody told me at the airport this is Columbus Day, and I was that's why they had an afternoon game, and so this is very rude of me, and I wouldn't do it except to make a point, and my mother would be so mad at me, and my wife probably will be. But Marlene, how old are you?
I'm going to be 80 next month.
Unbelievable, Marlene. Let's give it up here.
Let me tell you. Let me just tell you this. I would have made it. I'd have bet the under for everything we got. I'd have passed the hat around.
way.
I'm going on.
I would have said that number. Not even close.
Smokes. Wow, unbelievable. No shot.
Full disclosure, she had already told me, and I never.
You posted me, Brent.
Brent, I think we live in a different age where you're allowed to ask that question now.
I hope so.
When did you move here to Las Vegas?
I moved here in 2003.
Me too.
Okay.
I retired.
Good for you.
And moved here.
So have you got part of your Social Security check bet on the Dodgers to win it all, Marlene?
That's a yes.
Okay.
It's all right. It's okay. You could do with that money what you want.
She
The
didn't say
government
what
has
part.
given it
That's
to
okay,
you.
Marlene.
You deserved it. Okay. Oh, dear. Marlene Levin, one of the great fans. I love the fans in this country. It doesn't make any difference what team they're a fan of. And Marlene, you were special. You're welcome anytime, dear. Thank you so much for dropping by.
Thank you for having me.
Come back.
Okay, there we are. Dodger fan number 1. They're through 6, 3-2. Dodgers lead the Braves. VSiN.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
I'm Brent Musburger, reminding you that the football betting season is here. There is nothing like it. Are you ready to celebrate the thrill of victory and cash a ticket even on defeats? Sharpen your edge now with the help of Matt Humans, Dave Tooley, and the rest of My Guys in the Desert. We'll get you prepared for the football season with exclusive handicapping stories and data that you won't find anywhere else. Go to vsin.com/subscribe for the package that makes sense for you, including a 1-week trial at no charge. Our new all-access subscription includes Point Spread Weekly, vSin's digital magazine designed to make you a better handicapper and avoid the agony of defeat. You'll also get vSin's 140-plus page college football betting guide, followed by our comprehensive pro football betting guide. Sign up now, vsin.com/subscribe. That's vsin.com/subscribe. Remember, cashing tickets is what it's all about.